What do Taylor Swift and P. Diddy have in common? The answer can shock you. While P. Diddy faces explosive accusations that can destroy his career, Taylor Swift is at the height of success, dominating headlines and the biggest events in the world. But what if this is not a coincidence? What if Taylor Swift is being used as a strategic piece to cover up obscure industry secrets? What if the 2009 VMA was a submission ritual? What if the 2024 Super Bowl was a smoke curtain to divert the focus from Diddy's crimes? What if Taylor Swift is not the untouchable artist everyone thinks, but the next piece of a much bigger game? Today, let's connect the points and reveal what the media doesn't want you to know. Get ready, because after this video, you'll never see Taylor Swift and P. Diddy the same way. In recent months, two giant names in the entertainment industry have dominated headlines for completely different reasons. P. Diddy, the hip-hop typical surrounded by controversy and dark accusations, and Taylor Swift, the pop star that seems to be, in its most phase, brilliant and influential. However, although their careers seem opposite at first glance, some hidden connections between them raise intriguing questions. Taylor Swift and P. Diddy are part of the same game in Hollywood shadows. At first, the two artists seem to inhabit different worlds. Diddy, one of the most influential names of black music in the 1990s and 2000s, built an empire in the music industry and hip-hop culture, but also collects accusations of bribery, violence, and even involvement in human trafficking schemes. Taylor Swift, on the other hand, was introduced to the world as an innocent young woman from country music, who quickly ascended to stardom and is now one of the most powerful artists on the planet. But was the meteoric rise of Swift coincidence, or was your career carefully manipulated by the same forces that, behind the scenes, also control the destinations of artists as Diddy? The signs of a connection between the two begin to emerge when the circles of influence is observed within the music industry. P. Diddy and Scooter Braun, businessmen of artists such as Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, and Kanye West, have a long history of partnership and influence behind the scenes of music. Braun, who became a public enemy of Swift after the purchase of his albums without his permission, has direct ties with Diddy and his power network in the industry. Is it possible for Swift to be somehow under the same control and influence structure that Diddy helped build? In addition, specific events put the two artists in a peculiar narrative. The infamous VMA of 2009, in which Kanye West interrupted Taylor Swift in her victory, has direct calls with Diddy. Kanye was, at the time, strongly influenced by Diddy, who has a long history of participating or architecting public humiliations within the industry, a practice seen by many as part of a submission ritual of the great artists within the Hollywood system. Another curious detail is Swift's constant presence in the media spotlight, just as Diddy is facing a series of criminal accusations. Many theorists believe that at critical times the media creates narratives to divert the public's attention. Does Taylor Swift's current smooth hit and his involvement in global events such as Super Bowl and political campaigns are part of a plan to overshadow Diddy's scandals? The relationship between Diddy and Taylor Swift may not be straightforward, but when analyzing industry standards, power networks, and the way certain figures are protected while others are overthrown, the possibility that both will be part of the same dark game makes it impossible to ignore. What if Swift and Diddy are only two faces of the same coin within an elite that controls music and the media for their own interests? If there is something that connects Taylor Swift and P. Diddy beyond success, it is the hidden structure that controls the music industry. As we have seen, the rise of Swift and the scandals involving Diddy may not be mere coincidences. Both are part of a much larger system, where true power is not only on stage, but behind the scenes, where agreements are made, careers are manipulated, and secrets are kept under 7 keys. P. Diddy has always been seen as more than just a rapper and producer. He is one of the industry architects, someone who not only built a musical empire, but also directly influenced the fate of several artists. Since the 1990s, his name has been involved in dark stories, since the murder of Tupac Shakur and Notorious B.I.G., until recent accusations of trafficking and extortion. Many believe that Diddy is part of a power network in the industry that controls who goes up and falling, an elite that dictates the rules of the game. And that's exactly where Taylor Swift enters. Your meteoric rise and its absolute mastery over industry in recent years raise an inevitable question. Would it have been chosen by this same structure that Diddy helped build? Scooter Braun's case is one of the most evident links of this connection. Braun, who bought the rights of Taylor's original recordings without his consent, has direct ties with Diddy and his network of influence. Braun began his career by promoting parties to hip-hop artists and quickly became one of the most powerful entrepreneurs in pop music. For years, he has been side by side with Kanye West, Justin Bieber, and Ariana Grande. All artists who at different times crossed Swift's path, whether as allies or enemies. Another suspicious point is that, despite the accusations and evidence against Diddy, he remained untouchable for decades. Industry artists and insiders have reported that Diddy is part of a select group that controls the backstage of music and entertainment. But now, suddenly, he is being exposed. Why? A theory suggests that when a powerful name becomes a risk to this elite, it is discarded. What is happening with Diddy can now be an example of this. Meanwhile, new figures emerge to occupy this space. And who could be taking this place of influence? Taylor Swift. Swift not only dominates music charts, but has also played a stronger political and social role in recent years, similar to what Diddy has done at the height of his career. Taylor's transition from a shy country singer to an influential opinion leader seems a carefully planned movement. Just as Diddy used his music and influence to shape narratives and control certain aspects of the industry, Taylor now occupies this space, but even more polished and accepted by the public. If Diddy and Taylor are part of the same board, it means that the big names in the industry are just pawns in a much larger game, where alliances are made and undone according to the interests of those who really command everything. The question is Taylor Swift the next key piece of this system, or is it at some point, will it also be discarded as Diddy is being now? If P. Diddy has spent decades sailing behind the scenes of the music industry, playing according to the rules of a hidden system, Taylor Swift may have followed a similar path, but even more sophisticated. If we look at your career, the growth of your career seems aligned with a mysterious pattern, where the greatest artists are chosen and protected as they serve a greater purpose. The idea of a hidden contract within the music industry is not new. Many artists have already denounced that fame and success come at a price. Alliances with figures of power, submission to non-written rules, and in some cases, involvement in control networks that limit artists' creative and personal freedom. P. Diddy, for years, was a key piece in this scheme. What if Taylor Swift is also on this board? Swift and the control of your own music, an illusion? In 2019, one of the biggest conflicts in the music industry came to light when Scooter Braun bought the masters, original recordings, of Taylor Swift's first 6 albums without his consent. Swift publicly denounced the transaction, accusing Braun from having prevented her from buying her own catalog. But who allowed Braun to have this power? Here's where Diddy connections are interesting. Braun began his career within Diddy's networks of influence, working directly with him before becoming one of the most powerful entrepreneurs in music. In addition, he is close to Kanye West, another name involved in the infamous episode of VMA 2009, where Taylor was humiliated publicly. This reinforces the idea that from the beginning, Swift may have been a controlled piece within this game. Many see the Battle of Taylor for the ownership of their songs as a fight of independence, but was it? Or was that part of a planned narrative to consolidate your image as an empowered and free artist, when in fact everything has always been under control behind the scenes? P. Diddy's model and Taylor Swift's rise. Swift's trajectory has disturbing similarities to that of Diddy. Both are not just musicians, they are gigantic marks. Swift, like Diddy, expanded his empire beyond music, creating a presence of political and social influence. Diddy, at the height, also did this, using his fame to manipulate narratives and gain power in spheres that went beyond music. Now, Swift has become an active voice in politics, business, and even international media. But is this influence spontaneous, or is it being used to replace figures like Diddy, which no longer serve the interests of this hidden system? What did Taylor Swift want with the conflict with Scooter Braun? After years of disputes, Swift made a radical decision: rewrite all his previous albums, releasing Taylor's versions to recover his rights to music. This movement was acclaimed by the public and made Swift even more powerful. But ironically, the controversy with Scooter Braun did not harm his career. On the contrary, he strengthened his narrative of independent fighter and further leveraged his sales. This raises the suspicion: was all this genuine conflict, or part of a larger plan to reinforce your public image? If Diddy always played within the rules of the industry's hidden club, Swift seems to be playing a similar game, but with a better-built plot. While Diddy fell into disgrace, Swift has become the greatest artist of the decade. And perhaps this is not a coincidence. Taylor Swift is a new system puppet. If P. Diddy has been one of the most influential pieces in the music industry in recent decades, it is now being overthrown. And industry never runs out of leaders. New figures are high to keep the machine running. Taylor Swift is at the absolute peak, but why? Who really is behind this phenomenon, and what will be the cost of your power position? While Diddy faces accusations and can become an example of fall, Swift continues to grow. But how long? If there is an event that marked an earlier and after in Taylor Swift's career, it was the 2009 VMA, when Kanye West broke into the stage and interrupted her Thanksgiving speech to say, "Beyoncé had one of the best videos of all time." What seemed like a spontaneous episode of arrogance quickly became one of the most analyzed moments in the history of entertainment. But what if this event had not been random? What if the 2009 VMA were, in fact, a public ritual within the music industry? Something designed behind the scenes to test or submit Taylor Swift. The role of P. Diddy in industry. Ritual handler. To understand this theory, it is first necessary to analyze the role of P. Diddy in the industry. For years, he was seen as more than an artist. He was one of the game controllers, someone who decided to go up and who should fall. Several artists have mentioned that public humiliations are a kind of ritual within the music industry, used to test, discipline, or start artists at higher levels of the power game. Diddy has a history of involvement in this type of practice. He was close to big names who were ritualistically destroyed or mysteriously disappeared from the industry after clashes or disobedience, from Biggie Smalls to the latest artists. Now see how it fits the 2009 VMA episode. That same night, P. Diddy took the stage to present a prize, and just before Kanye interrupted Taylor Swift, he made an enigmatic comment. "The next prize goes to an artist who will transform the industry forever." Then Kanye enters the scene and interrupts Taylor. At the end of the awards, Beyoncé calls Taylor to the stage again to correct the situation and show that she is on her side. A movement that reinforces the idea that Beyoncé was already accepted inside the inner circle, while Taylor still needed to prove her value. Does this mean that Kanye's interruption could have been planned? An attempt to put Taylor in its proper place? Kanye West, pawn in the game or handler. In the years following the incident, Kanye West maintained an ambiguous posture. At times, I apologized to Taylor. In others, he said that he didn't regret anything. Kanye's erratic behavior raised suspicions that he himself was controlled by higher forces within the industry. Here is where the connections with P. Diddy get stronger. Diddy has always had an influence on Kanye behind the scenes of the industry. Kanye underwent events that suggest a standard of control and rebellion within the system. He was hospitalized against his will, made speeches against big names in the industry, and at various times seemed to be fighting a hidden system. If Kanye was just a pawn in this game, then it may have been used to ritualize Taylor Swift, testing her submission or preparing it for a new level within the industry. What did Taylor earn from it? Interestingly, despite being humiliated in a national network, Taylor Swift grew even more after this episode. In the following years, she left the country and became a global pop icon. His image went from a shy young woman to a powerful and influential figure. Her music began to incorporate narrative control messages and even revenge, as in, "Look what you made me," where she alludes to rebirth and power games. If Kanye was the pawn and Diddy was behind the scenes, was Taylor tested and approved to enter a higher level in the industry? A standard in industry, other cases of public humiliation. Taylor was not the only one to undergo a public humiliation event before becoming a definitive superstar. Other examples include Britney Spears underwent a public collapse before losing control over her own career and being placed under guardianship. Justin Bieber went from teen idol to the media target before reborn as a more acceptable artist for the mainstream. Michael Jackson, he was the greatest artist in the world before his image was destroyed by accusations that isolated him from the industry. These standards suggest that certain artists are chosen to undergo these rituals as a form of submission or ascension within the hidden system of the music industry. So, was Taylor Swift part of the game? What we know is that after the 2009 VMA, Taylor Swift was never the same. Her influence grew exponentially, and she went from a country artist to the world's largest pop star. If this event was in fact a public ritual, then means that Taylor was started in the elite of entertainment, and his journey of power and influence may not have been accidental, but part of a larger plan. The 2009 VMA may have been just the first step. What came later, the battle for the masters, the political rise, and the central position in pop culture, may have been meticulously orchestrated by the same names that one day controlled P. Diddy and Kanye West. But the big question is, Taylor Swift controls the game, or is it still controlled by him? If there is anything that the elite of entertainment knows how to do well, it is to control narratives and manipulate the public's attention. While P. Diddy faces serious processes and accusations, one of the biggest events of 2024 managed to divert his eyes on a completely different subject. Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl. But is that just a coincidence? Or would we be witnessing one of the largest media distraction operations of recent times? The perfect moment, the Super Bowl as a smoke curtain. Super Bowl is not just a sporting event, it is a global cultural phenomenon. Each edition is assisted by millions and dictating consumer trends, advertising, and even political narratives. The 2024 edition, however, had an unexpectedly dominant presence: Taylor Swift. Since the beginning of the NFL season, the media has been obsessed with Swift and her relationship with Travis Kelce, Kansas City Chiefs player. The event was promoted in order to make it the highlight, even though it was not part of the interval show. For weeks, the headlines ignored political themes and scandals to focus on Taylor and their impact on the football audience. Now let's look at what happened at the same time behind the scenes of the music industry. P. Diddy faced an avalanche of accusations, including possible connections with human trafficking and criminal schemes within entertainment. Reports arose that investigations against Diddy could involve other powerful figures in the music industry. Documents and testimonies pointed out that P. Diddy may have operated under the protection of the industry elite for years until it became a risk and began to be exposed. If there is something that traditional media does very well, it is changing the focus of the masses. Taylor Swift's obsession timing in the Super Bowl was too convenient to be accidental. Super Bowl and connections with the global elite. Super Bowl has always been an event loaded with hidden messages and symbologies that conspiracy theorists have been analyzing for years. Some recurring standards include use of visual rituals and esoteric symbolisms in interval presentations, the presence of specific figures that help shape political and social narratives, the influence of corporations and elites using the event to test new forms of media control. Given NFL's history with business and political elite figures, it would be no surprise that Taylor Swift's presence at the event was highly planned. Her image, carefully built over the years, makes her a perfect candidate to distract the audience as more serious events unfold behind the scenes. Taylor Swift and his rise to the political figure status. What makes this theory even more intriguing is that in recent years, Taylor Swift has not only become a pop star, but also a global political influence figure. Her support for candidates, her subliminal messages on music, and her involvement in big events show that she is not just an artist, but a piece within a much larger game. P. Diddy, on the other hand, followed a similar path in the past, used his music and influence to shape narratives and protect his interests within the industry. But now he is being unmasked and taken from the board. If Swift is the new key piece of this system, your presence in the Super Bowl may have been a way to consolidate your position while distracting the audience from inconvenient truths. P. Diddy falls, Taylor Swift up. Coincidence? If we look at industry standards, whenever a large figure falls, another is high to the top to fill this vacuum of influence. Taylor Swift's meteoric rise in recent years coincides with the decay of figures who once dominated the industry. Diddy dominated hip-hop and entertainment for decades, but is now being exposed. Taylor Swift has dominated the pop and is now being positioned as one of the most influential faces in the world. If the entertainment elite needed a new icon to divert the public's attention and keep the narrative under control, Taylor Swift seems to have been the perfect choice. What comes next? Is Taylor being prepared for something bigger? The theory does not just suggest that Taylor Swift was used to distract the audience from Diddy's scandal, but that she may be prepared for something even bigger. Some questions are in the air. Will Taylor Swift remain the darling of the elite, or, like Diddy, will come a time when he will be discarded? Is your influence on politics and culture growing at a level that may indicate that it will be used for much broader agendas? What will be revealed in the coming months about Diddy and his schemes? And can that somehow reach Taylor Swift and other artists? If there is one thing that this case teaches, is that no big name in the industry is untouchable forever. If there is anything that this video made clear, it is that no big name in the entertainment industry reaches the top without being involved in a much larger game. P. Diddy and Taylor Swift may seem opposite in style, musical genre, and even reputation, but when analyzing the scenes of industry, unsettling patterns begin to emerge. P. Diddy, for decades, has been protected by a hidden system, sailing between shadows and manipulating careers, events, and narratives within music and entertainment. However, as his crimes began to become impossible to hide, he was discarded by the same system that previously protected him. Meanwhile, Taylor Swift emerged as one of the most influential figures in the world, with his music dominating the stops, his name present in the largest events on the planet, and even his personal life being used as media distraction. His involvement in the Super Bowl and its growing political relevance is not coincidence. There is evidence that its rise is part of something much larger. And here is the big question. Taylor Swift really controls your destination, or is it just another carefully positioned piece by shadowing forces? P. Diddy is falling on its own, or was abandoned by the same system that one day protected it. The media makes us focus on Taylor to divert our attention from much darker secrets within the industry. If there is anything we learn from Hollywood and music standards, it is that no success is totally organic, and no fall happens without a greater purpose. Now we want to know your opinion. Do you believe there is a hidden connection between Taylor Swift and P. Diddy? What is your theory about what really happens behind the scenes of the entertainment industry? Will Taylor Swift remain untouchable, or is it at any time the next to fall? Leave your comment below. If you liked the video, like, share, and sign up for more investigations into the hidden secrets of celebrities and the music world.